To order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you do a roll call, please?
And President Barger,
Present.
Vice President Dover,
Present.
Commissioner Scholar, Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner LaSanti.
Present.
Okay, the first item is approval of minutes. I need a motion for approval of August 17th, 2015 legislative meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the August 17th legislative meeting.
I second.
Any discussion? Tony didn't find any errors.
I didn't get a chance to read
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Sorry, guys. You're done.
Presentation by Fern Hollow Nature Center.
Hi, thank you so much for letting us come. I am Sam Capizzuto. I'm the Executive Director of Fern Hollow Nature Center, and I'm joined by Claudia Pryor, who is the President of our board. I'm not sure if you had a chance to go through the information we had submitted. If not, I could gladly talk about Fern Hollow. Some of you know us, St. George was on our board
Good to see you
when I
again.
first started about 11 years ago. So it's been a long time, and I know Matt and his family come up to Fern Hollow a lot. You know, Fern Hollow is a wonderful asset for the community. I think that, you know, we provide so much for the residents, the school districts, that we're really looking to the different boroughs to possibly help us out with an annual contribution. Very monetary to higher levels with different types of compensation. Fern Hollow has been in existence since 1997. We are staffed by myself, who is part-time, and we have 2 part-time educators that are paid for by Fern Hollow. We also have the wonderful support of Swiftly Heights Borough has been supportive of us since we first opened our doors with monthly contributions when we first started out. And 11 years ago, April and myself both joined Fern Hollow. April is paid for by Swiftly Heights Borough, and part of her responsibility is to help us with programming and overseeing our educational staff. In those 11 years, we've grown tremendously. We now have over 7,000 visitors a year at the center. We work with every school district in Quaker Valley. At least every grade comes up at least one time. And we're not just bringing them to Fern Hollow, we're taking them to all the parks in the community so that they can see all the wonderful green space that we have in the area. In addition to the work we do at schools, we provide wonderful opportunities for families to do fishing programs or owl prowls. We have wonderful community events. One coming up this weekend. If you have no plans on Saturday, it will be sunny. We have our Fall Music Festival, which is one of our biggest events. But we just do a lot to get the community together, enjoying nature, getting away from screen time. One of our biggest accomplishments in the last 10 years is we opened the first nature play area in the state of Pennsylvania. We're a little tiny nature center. There's much bigger nature centers in Pennsylvania, but we're the first play area in Pennsylvania. It was the 44th in the nation. We do free play dates in it. We use it for all our school programs. It's just a wonderful.
$150 level, is that also just
That is for all residents. Any resident that proved that they would live in a Lebanon Township would get it for free. So yeah, the music festival is one of our biggest fundraisers that we do. So I'd love to offer all of Aleppo tickets, but
What is your budget?
I'm sorry,
What is your annual budget?
our budget is about $125,000 a year.
And that's all supported by contributions.
It's multiple. We could support, obviously, in-kind support that we get from Swiftly Heights Borough with April and all the volunteers that help us run our program. We get membership dues. We have about 200 members. We do programming with the schools. That's paid for. And then we do our special events. And then in addition to that, we do grant writing.
Any other questions? We'd be happy to answer.
We did have a chance, my wife and I, to go to the, what was it, the honey?
Oh, the pancake breakfast.
That's
Spring
one of the
pancake
things we want to
breakfast.
add. is the sugar
You took
shack.
the Masonic Village for the bus there.
Oh, yeah, we did that for the first time this year.
That was good promotion.
We have been trying to get other programs with Masonic and it just hasn't worked out yet. Hopefully we'll be able to get some, because I know that my staff loved having you guys there for the day.
Seemed to work out good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we should vote on it tonight, but to get the ball rolling and to get us teed up for next week, I would make a motion that we contribute at the $750 level.
Would you like me to put that on the agenda for next week? You know what you're asking? Or would you like to do it? No.
Well, again, I don't want to vote on it tonight, but I'm making the motion tonight, and I'm looking for a second from somebody. So let's, with a motion and a second, unless we want to have a discussion tonight, let's put it on the agenda for a vote next week. Unless we want to discuss it tonight.
And it's open for discussion since they're here, certainly. No, I think that's a good idea.
And I'd be happy to come back if you want me to, if you have additional questions or.
Okay.
Do you have a video or anything?
Website.
Our website has something, it's not the Grace website, it's on our long list. But we do have there's pictures on it, and but we do not have like a comprehensive anything. It's something I'd love to get, but we'll try and get to it.
What is the website there?
I know, that's how I do it.
What is your website?
It's www.fhnc,
S,
Fern Hollow Nature Center, our initials, .org.
okay.
And I'll just add, for the sake of the residents watching at home, that one of the reasons that I'm inclined towards the $750 level is that for that, our residents all get admission to the summer celebration picnic. So I think there's a direct benefit directly to our residents that supports a contribution at that level.
You know, personally, I think it's certainly a logical move because we don't have any park activity here in Aleppo, and this would provide our residents some
I think
opportunity.
Aleppo is probably one of our highest usage
Yeah, for sure.
townships in the 11 boroughs, especially from across the street every day. I'm surprised at how many more visitors we're getting coming and using the trails and walking their dogs and playing. So I love to see it. So
Have you asked Swickley Heights Manor homeowners and/or Masonic?
we have not, no. We have plans to do all the different boroughs, and then next year probably move on to different types of organizations too. Because the task we have in front of us with the new building is quite large, but I think something that is needed and would be greatly used.
Tell me about that. You're doing a new building?
That's
An addition.
an addition to a smaller new building on the grounds. But we're busting at the seams. You can remember from back in your days.
Always.
There's not much there. It's a little classroom. We do most of our programming outside, but storage of all of our equipment and supplies. So there's not much space for other stuff. And we're now getting calls from people outside the community that want programming too, that we can't service them right now because we don't have anywhere, if it were to rain, to put 2 classes. So with another, and it would be something modest. What we were hoping and our vision is, and we don't have it on paper, will be to do a sugar shack and like an open air classroom. So, and the sugar shack would be something that we would do for, open to the community for anyone that wanted to come and do sugaring or things like that, so.
Well, I think y'all are doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, I really appreciate it.
And I might add, the COG. Have you thought about going and speaking to the COG?
Yes, they are on our list also.
Okay.
So,
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all very
Thank
much
you
for your
very
time.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
So I have a procedure question. We have a motion and a second. Now tabled until next week?
Well, yeah, I'll make a motion to table my own motion until next week.
I'll second that. So they just, so you make a motion, you're supposed to act on it the same, technically.
Yes. It needs to be disposed of during this meeting.
Okay. Good point.
And technically speaking, I think we need to vote on the motion to table it.
Okay, all in favor of tabling the motion till next week's meeting?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good. Discussion of McCoy, South McCoy resident meeting. Joanne?
She solved all the problems.
I'm going to Washington.
She solved all the
Yeah.
problems.
I
It
hear
was
you.
actually
That's
a
next.
very, very good meeting. When
I agree.
it was
Very
much
positive.
different than I expected. And
It had a very positive tone.
yes, everybody was, first of all, you said equally represented from South McCoy and McCoy. Not a huge number, maybe 10
About.
from each side.
Yeah.
Thereabout. And then we just asked them to discuss any issues that they were having with the duplicate addresses. So, one of the things that, I guess as a result of that, it was that there weren't horrible issues. I mean, most of the issues were mail going to the wrong address, which is the mail service problem, not necessarily, unless people don't put South McCoy. But, when I was on vacation, I held my mail and mine doesn't say South McCoy and it was delivered to my co-address. So that's just the mail delivery. The couple that was here, Patty and Rich Vecchio, I think the thing that they discovered, which was really good for this meeting, is that they were very different. Their problems were not endemic with the group. They had a co-address with a family that there were issues, an elderly woman who was sick and ambulances were being called, and two youngish young people in the house that ordered pizza a lot. But I think that was good for them to see, because I think they had this vision that everybody was having a huge problem. But having said that, we certainly, they gave us lots of suggestions of things that they thought could make it better. Nobody wanted to change addresses. It wasn't even discussed. We never brought it up. It was brought up that if any individual wanted their address changed, they could certainly do that. Like if Vecchios really felt that this was not going to change, they could change their address.
So I change the number?
The numbering in that
number.
neighborhood goes by 10.
Mhm.
So there's room to change the
And pick
number
up
in
an
between
address,
houses.
yeah.
There's,
Okay.
there's room to do it, so.
Well, maybe, is there a lot of duplication then of numbers on McCoy versus South McCoy?
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah.
Some.
So the suggestions were, and you all have this sheet, were bigger and bolder signs. So originally, we talked about that initial sign that went up when you turned into McCoy, saying South McCoy was ahead. Well, when we looked at that really, the placement was fine. It doesn't really need to be moved. They would just like to have bigger sign. You really don't see the sign. I mean, if you're driving and you're not looking for it. The other is that the word south be written out on all signs, and it is written out on that sign. That all the residents that were there, we stressed the fact that they must use South McCoy when they buy or purchase anything or correspond. And some of them, I think, just don't. I don't know. So the one thing that they suggested And they said it was happening in Bell Acres. Now, I went up there today and I'm not sure I understood. Gwen, you want to describe it, or they were
It
talking?
sounded like they were talking about having consistent address signs on all of the mailboxes in the neighborhood. And they gave an example that there were some in Bell Acres, but Joanne didn't find them, but we can investigate what they look like. But so it sounded like they were describing like a green sign with white trim or something that had 157 McCoy, and then on South McCoy, 157 South McCoy, just so there was consistent numbering, because some mailboxes just have names, and that doesn't help a delivery person. So we're just they were trying to suggest ways to have every house in the neighborhood be labeled the same way, so that people coming into the neighborhood could see more clearly what the addresses were.
So when I went through Bell Acres today, I saw consistently sort of those, obviously they look like, they were pretty uniform. The background was like glows in the dark kind of background, and it was an address. And they were either on the post or on the mailbox. So, now not everyone had them, but I'd say most of them did. So if it was 107, it would be on the mailbox or on the post. But now, I don't know, we need to find out. I didn't see anything hanging or anything green.
Nothing as elaborate as in the Manor.
What
Manor
kind
has the
of
numbers.
manner?
Well, in the Ridge, every mailbox on the top of the mailbox has a sign. They're all consistent. That may be too elaborate, but
I think that's kind of what they were
That's-
trying to describe.
that's pretty easy to do.
But that's not down, because we don't have mailbox. In the manor,
Correct.
the townhouses don't have mailboxes.
But if you drive through the Ridge, you'll
Do
see
you
the
have a
signs,
mailbox? So, but the townhouses don't. They use
the cluster.
the clustered mailbox.
But those signs that are attached to the top of the mailbox are very apparent and very easy to
Okay.
install.
Well, then maybe we should take a look at that. That might be something worth looking
The
at.
problem with that, though, I think, is that all those mailboxes, they're all built exactly the same.
Correct.
So you can have one solution that you can go back and
Yes,
engineer exactly you only have to engineer it once.
yes.
Right, which these are not going to be.
Right.
Even,
But even on the posts and the mailboxes, they're going to be different too. I mean, you're right. These are all going to be unique.
What, Rod, you were going to say?
well, I was just thinking of what we have along our road in Canada. There's a galvanized angle iron driven into the ground with a blue background and a white number on it. And I think they were all installed by the township. We didn't have any say one way or another. But I'm not suggesting that, but
But that's a uniform way. to do
uniform,
it.
really, you know.
So this is worth looking into, some other alternatives to making, I mean, my mailbox doesn't have a number, but there is something in the ground that says the house number, but
I would think we could attach something to the top of a mailbox
Yeah.
somehow.
so
Have
we
them.
can look into that, I think.
Well, you have to physically know you could do it. Just don't attach it, it has to be secured.
Mhm.
I don't like the word attach. It has to be secured.
Pop rivets.
Security.
Ours are all installed with pop rivets and caulking.
And I hate to get too technical, but I think you have to be careful about attaching stuff directly to mailboxes. Because they're technically
It's somebody's
federal property.
property.
They're
They're
They're regulated by
property?
the federal government. So I know you can't, that's all I'll say, because I don't know the details
If
of
we
that.
got into this purchase, we would use a vendor who
Yeah.
met the USPS specifications.
That was kind
Are
of,
you picturing?
these are things that we're going to be asked to do.
Well, I
That's-
think that would be the township, they would ask the township to do, if it was a uniform numbering system.
Then you talked about the rest of the township.
Okay.
Now, the rest of the township doesn't have the problem.
I know, but people will raise the question.
All right.
Did it for them, do it for us.
Well,
It's worth a try.
Yeah, they need it, they need it. Re-notify the post office. I did go to my ambulance meeting and I talked to JR in the meeting. And he certainly will reiterate with his drivers, but they get their calls from the 911 dispatcher. So the real point of change has to be the dispatcher. Okay?
Add that to the list.
So they have to be reminded that when somebody calls in, is this McCoy? Is this South McCoy? Because this little lady that we're talking about, I guess they don't identify that it's South McCoy. Contact UPS and FedEx. I don't know what we do with that. That's something
Right,
we
letter
do.
to the local, yes.
The Google Maps, MapQuest, Yahoo Maps, that was,
There were a couple of issues where one of the maps didn't identify South McCoy as existing. So that was something that one of the residents of South McCoy knew how to fix, and she gave me some tips on how to contact them and hopefully get that fixed.
And she was very knowledgeable about that. So we don't need to move the sign in the front, that's fine. And the second sign, they thought maybe a road diagram on the sign that shows, because really if you go straight, you go to a dead end, but it's sort of like it would be like this, so this, maybe it would read like this. And I like what you said. We had talked about a stop sign at South McCoy, and that seemed a bit excessive. Nobody seemed terribly happy. And then you need to do a whole study. I mean, you can't just put a stop sign up. But you suggested maybe painting some white lines on the road. I don't know if when you drive through Beaver down in Sewickley, I mean, when they repaved that road, they did those white lines on every intersection. And boy, they're very visible. So it sort of alerts you that there's a road coming up. So that's something that would be easy to do. And lastly, I suggested to the Vecchios that maybe we could send a letter to this family or to any family that is a co-partner and is really creating some issues, explaining that there was a meeting and we're asking for their cooperation to say that they live on South McCoy and blah, blah, blah.
How many problem co-addressees are we talking about?
There are 9 on each street, so 18 total.
But how many are problems? How many are problematic? How many are the Vecchios problem?
Just one.
Nobody else has that significant problem.
No, I don't think so. There
A
were
lot of
a
the other
couple.
people were mail and delivery issues, but not necessarily repeated
Yeah.
late night mistaken stops.
I heard something about
Mine,
a roof put on the wrong house. or
Right.
Somebody on the roof.
On the roof.
yeah. And my neighbor, she had a septic tank cleaned, and that wasn't Vecchios. That was somebody that came in and was supposed to be at the other house. And
There have been occasional issues at some of the other addresses. There's apparently only one address that has a consistent problem.
I like the idea of changing the numbers. Putting in a 5 number.
No one wanted,
it didn't even get brought up.
they didn't, no one on either street wanted to change the numbers.
Well, I think if there are other solutions, and obviously, as I said, the problem stems around 1 or 2 people, okay, that are big problems. I mean, they're the ones that are getting the pizza at midnight and, getting the new washer and dryer and that kind of thing. And I think if a letter would go to this family and they are in full agreement that, Gwen, you can do that, they would be very pleased. And it may just solve the problem.
So what do you have a formal list of suggestions, or could you come up with one?
Well, here they are.
Yeah,
This is what I just read.
just do it.
So the one that's sort of up in the air is this, the number, the signs, how we're gonna do consistent numbering.
Writing the letters, I'm glad to write the letters to the different agencies. We're glad to order a second sign to go underneath the first one. That's a diagram of the road. That might catch your eye more than the text sign that we have. Those are all easy things. Painting a stop line at the end of South McCoy, that's all stuff that the guys can do. I guess the bigger discussion item is talking about the consistent signs, whether it's a yard sign or a mailbox sign or something like that.
18 of them?
Well, it would be for everybody, I think,
There-
all houses.
What is everybody?
The entire McCoy
And
side.
how many is that?
We said
I think it's
30,
40 something,
38, 40.
40 something. I don't have that in front of me. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just do it.
Well, back to Rod's point, that you might awaken some questions from the rest of the community. Two of my neighbors had asked me a long time ago for us to address the new development off Mount Nebo, the something ridge, it's Swickley
The
Ridge or
signs,
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have the same problem. People call for pizza and it goes to the wrong community. So there are other
Yeah,
issues
Yeah,
in the township.
so maybe when they name that community, there's a whole legal process to going into naming.
Right.
Maybe got a case there. Because you are the Sewickley Ridge, right?
Well, they're very close, but I
Is there
really,
a difference in the names?
Yep.
There is a difference.
think the traditions at Swickley Ridge and the others,
Oh, okay, because they have the thing in front of
Swickley
it.
Ridge at Swickley Heights Manor.
Yeah.
The Ridge is Swickley Heights Manor.
Well, let's
Okay.
take them one at a time. I mean,
All right,
my suggestion would be that we start with the easy ones and see how far that gets us and reassess if we need to investigate 40 consistent mailbox signs in 4 months.
so let's prioritize them. What are the easy ones? The calls, the letter, that's easy.
The letter, the calls, the bigger signs, the bigger bolder signs, south spelled out on all signs, notification to the post office, notification to FedEx. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with.
I don't think you're gonna, with the Google, I don't think you're gonna
They
get.
don't respond.
I mean, Google, as I've said before,
Google's the most responsive.
Right.
The other ones are,
Well, and people then have to upgrade new Google Maps.
Yeah.
So
Gwen,
how many
they do it,
signs?
it isn't-
How
The
many-
bigger, bolder signs.
well, that was kind of the general suggestion, but if that we already put a larger South McCoy sign with an arrow. We did that a couple of months ago. So that was at the beginning of the suggestion, but then instead of maybe making the same sign that we have bigger, maybe adding that second sign with the road diagram below it might catch the eye.
Do we do that in-house?
No, we just order them.
Pardon me?
We order signs, like metal signs, street signs, we order them. So we could do the
I
south
don't know,
spell
I
out, we
didn't
have
think
south spell
either
out.
sign was particularly outstanding. But I'll look at, go
Once
back
again,
down and look
Yeah,
at that.
see if there's a different one
at
that you would like, we could change it. But yes, all the letters, the calls, the diagram sign, that can all happen, now-ish, and then,
For minimal cost and minimal effort.
if you wanna reassess in 4 months, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Matt's right. Try the easy ones, see if we get results, go from there.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like the letter might hit the nail on the head.
It could help.
Worth a try.
I would send a copy to them, to officials, just so they know what you sent.
Okay?
I think just one last, my general question, so to speak, is where does the township's responsibility and authority begin and end? I get a little hesitant when we talk about doing things for individual mailboxes. There's
So we're not
something,
talking about that right now.
I know that, but
So let's,
just in general, where does our responsibility begin and end?
I would defer that question till
Good.
another day.
Good.
Right?
Yep.
Don't answer a hypothetical
Yeah.
question.
Wait, when it's phrased before you answer it.
Good.
Okay, next item. Discussion of 2015 sewer rate ordinance.
I just have this on here because we normally put large items like that just to bring them to your attention at the workshop, and it has been advertised, so it can be voted on at next week's meeting. And this is just an ordinance formalizing the vote and motion that you all took in the summer to reduce everyone's debt service by $4 per EDU. So that all that does is it does not change the treatment rates, it changes the debt service rates. So it just formalizes the action that was decided upon in July.
So that can be just as a motion.
Did you get any
Yeah, next week,
feedback
it's
from
ready to
that?
go.
Because the letters came out with that little insert.
Nope.
People didn't write and say,
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you,
They never do.
They hear the water rates go up.
thank you.
Well, I thought the sign was quite cavalier about it. I'll have a discussion with Eric about that.
Did it go in their newsletter?
Yeah, but not the way we put it in. They massaged it.
Okay, next item is
I
discussion.
wasn't happy with the massage.
Okay. Discussion of feral cat issue.
Well, Kim did a lot of research on this while I was out. So she contacted multiple agencies to find out what programs are out there. And the answer is that there are a few programs out there, but they're all very expensive. They're all at least $30 per cat, not including trap rental. And it's a lot of times it's individual homeowners often who make these kinds of calls and do this. So there are no easy answers to this issue. There are some solutions out there. Animal control doesn't do it. Local police department has to contact cat control, but that's for domestic cats only. They don't do a feral cat program. So a lot of them are groups of interested people who banded together and gave it a name and do the trap and release, but they rely on donations and they're all trap and release. They're not trap and remove.
So they trap them, neuter and spay them, bring them back.
Right, and put a chip in, I guess.
And part of the difficulty is that where there is a colony, new ones will come.
Well, as long as people feed them, they will come.
So,
What are the options?
There's animal rescue leagues, $30 per cat you trap. So they'll spay and put it back. It's up, would be up to, Tony to trap them and put them back. So.
I'd pay $30 a cat to see Tony trap.
I'd pay $50 a cat not to trap.
Animal Friends has a spay neuter vaccines return program, $35 per cat, $50 per trap fee.
Again,
That's
we trap.
80, so now we're up to 80 per cat.
Again, we trap.
No.
Yeah, yes,
No.
it's like a rent a trap. So yes.
I just trapped one on my front deck the other day.
What'd you do with it?
Let him go.
Mhm.
I think it was not a feral cat. I think it was a neighborhood cat. I don't know. I was looking for for raccoons.
you got a cat.
Or that instead.
A Humane Society, she contacted a couple of times. They have a homeless cat management program, but multiple attempts did not get any response or any return call on that. And then animal control, it has to be the local police and it's only for domestic cats, not feral.
So you're telling me there's two options. One costs $30 and we have to trap it, and one costs $80 and we have to trap it.
It's
When
what
they
it
give
seems
you a
like.
rented trap.
Yes,
And this is all because of one household.
yes.
And she doesn't feed the cats.
Oh, she
She does
Oh,
feed
she
them.
feeds.
Well, what does she want?
She's not the one who's complaining.
Oh,
The one who
okay.
feeds them is not the one
Oh, okay.
who has a problem with it. She enjoys it.
We have somebody that's has a suggestion.
SB.
Go ahead.
You know, sorry, Joe. I have heard that some of the nurses, the staff in the nursing homes and so forth, have had those cats taken care of and then let them go back. But I don't know the truth.
Often in these programs, they'll clip the ear of when they trap them, neuter them, and return them. They clip an ear so that in the next group that goes and looks and sees the problem, they can tell which ones have already been fixed. So if you see a bunch of the cats have a little clip off of one of the ear, that is usually an indicator that they've been caught, fixed, and returned.
I hear a lot of talk about them, but what problem do they create anyway? Other than
That's
just
a good
their presence?
question. That's a good question.
Go ahead. This is a very knowledgeable lady. I think.
Okay. I have nothing against cats. I like cats. This is a health problem, these feral cats. The day that I came past and stood here and counted, there were 14 adults, and there, at the moment that I was there were 14 adult cats lying about in the grass, and there were at least 6 kittens. I have since learned, as your gal there just has said, that there are several in Masonic Village. I'm going to say that they're staff members that feed these cats. They also socialize with the owner and try to help her. She's elderly and apparently has no one except these cats. Health-wise, yes, they trap them, and it costs $30 out of these staff members, out of their own pocket. They pay the $30 to have them neutered or spayed. They do clip their ears. And I said, well, you know, that's a good thing that you're doing that, but what about these kittens? You missed somebody along the line. Oh, there's all these kittens. Well, as soon as these kittens are weaned, we'll take them and have them spayed and neutered. What does that prove? All you're doing is continuing the cycle. Cats live 15, 18 years or longer.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when this elderly lady is no longer with us? Cats carry all sorts of diseases. Yes, they try to get them their rabies inoculations, but cats have all sorts of diseases. And I'm going to tell you that they are all over Masonic Village. There are several that I see every morning. One has a territory by a special pine tree, and that's his territory. And he sits there for 6 hours a day under that one pine tree. But they're crawling around all over the place.
Somebody's feeding them, obviously. That's
They
the
are
reason.
feeding.
Yeah, are these employees aware that it's a problem?
They don't consider it a problem. They think they're saving the world by saving these feral cats.
Because as soon as somebody stops feeding them, they'll leave.
Yeah.
Tell them that. They're trying to help this elderly woman. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, do you have a suggestion about what you want us to do? I'm sorry, who are you, by the way? I don't know who you are.
I am Darlene Phillips, and I'm a resident at Masonic Village.
I see.
Does a lot of walking.
Hello, Ms. Phillips. Thank you for
I do a lot
coming.
of walking, and I saw this happening. And I'm questioning why you people don't have an ordinance, number one, about animals, because most townships and boroughs have an ordinance, whereas they limit the number of animals you're allowed to have. For example, 5 dogs or 5 cats.
That's a good point.
Well, Chief looked into that. Gwen?
He did, we have a lot of animal nuisance ordinances, but we do not have one that specifically sets a limit. But he did mention that feral pets are not the same as pets. So if you have a limit of how many pets you can have in your house or your dogs in your yard, the feral animals that come and go, you can't
Well,
count them.
a feral by definition is not owned.
Wild, yeah.
Sorry.
Regardless whether it's owned or not, it would be animals. It wouldn't be necessarily pets. I
Well,
would suggest
What,
you check
what would be
around.
the regulation then, if these are wild animals? How do you,
I can't answer that. I mean, you have to check into some of these ordinances from the other townships and boroughs and find out what, what they have written up. But I think it's just a plain health issue because cats carry all kinds of diseases and they're all over the place.
could be?
Is the administration at Masonic aware of this?
I have no idea.
I mean, I think, again, a letter notifying Masonic that several of their employees may be implicit in this problem. If you stop feeding them, they're gonna leave.
But it sounds to me like they are I mean, these women, from what I'm hearing, are paying money out of their own pocket to try to spay them. It sounds to me like the problem is the elderly resident.
Yeah. But Chief did investigate. It's very
resident-
difficult to deal with feral cats. You can't have an ordinance preventing 20 raccoons or 20 cats. Can't do it.
Let's make this clear. I don't think the woman that owns these cats is a resident of Sonic.
Well, she doesn't,
She's
she
not.
doesn't
No.
own the cats. If she owned the cats,
So whatever she does,
an ordinance would be applicable.
the point is, she is
Right.
not a resident
Well,
of
she's
Sonic.
providing shelter for them. They do have, I'm gonna call it like a tent apparatus and some dog crates.
No, the only point I'm making is Sonic has no control over her. She's just an independent
But she's
woman.
on Nancy Drive, I presume,
Yes,
Yes, she is.
which is surrounded by the asylum.
yeah, Sonic has no control.
Also, where the nurses go to smoke.
I don't hear any magic solutions coming for it.
The only one
No,
that's
I don't know
township.
what the
could write
answer is, but I'm just, I'm bringing.
I
this
can
to
see
your
it's a
attention
problem.
that, You've got a situation now, what happens when this lady is no longer with us?
Well, then they won't get fed.
They'll leave.
They won't get fed. And they'll leave.
If they're calling deer in Mount Lebanon, can we call cats in Aleppo?
Hunt them with bow and arrow.
I don't think cats come under the game commission, no.
Well, it's, wild animals.
Well,
Every place I've lived, there's been feral cats. I mean, down in the Keys and Fort Myers, every place.
We have one in Manor too.
Yeah.
Not very many, but
They're cute when they're little and everybody feels sorry for them and then they keep having babies and it goes on and on and on.
Well, let me ask this, couldn't we catch them and take them to an animal shelter?
They want money.
I don't think they
Who's
agree.
Yeah.
George and I.
Oh, well, carry on.
Go for it.
I have,
Or the public works guys.
What if they said no?
If you take them, they're gonna ask you for money, I think.
Yeah, they don't, no one wants you to
I don't know.
drop off a herd of
They have to.
cats. I mean, they won't take them unless somebody's going to spay them and give them shots because somebody has to pay for that.
Well, some of them are no-kill shelters, some of them are not no-kill.
I think Animal Friends is the only no-kill, and they are reluctant to take 15
Right,
cats.
they're not gonna take.
The cycle doesn't stop.
So what other communities do?
Well, I don't know, they have these organizations where they have these do-gooder people who, want to
Feed the
continue
cats.
and take care of them and feed them and trap them and supposedly get them their rabies shots, but,
Maybe we
cats
can get rid
require
of
other.
the do-gooders.
Well, that's the thing, they require other inoculations beside rabies.
these,
Annual stuff usually, so you have to do it.
Well, either you're gonna have an ordinance or you're not gonna have an
But
ordinance.
I don't think you can have an ordinance for
Then
feral cats.
Then you can't do anything about it.
And I think you,
Darlene, you mentioned that the
Can we
staff
check with-
people are feeding, are they actually taking them to be spayed? neutered?
My understanding is that they trap them and take them to have them spayed or neutered, and they pay out of their own pocket to do this.
And they're also feeding.
And they're also providing food. They take it to this elderly lady.
so they buy her.
And
Come on, be
they, I
nice.
guess, put it
I know.
on as well.
Let's pay them to take them to,
How old is the woman? What?
In her
She's
80s.
not the
She's
elderly lady.
She just.
damn thing.
She provides shelter for them.
Oh, yeah.
They're on her property. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Could we check with our solicitors and find out if there are other communities that have ordinances?
Chief has done that.
Huh?
Chief has done that, our police chief.
And
And well, there is none because they're feral. You can't have an ordinance against wild animals.
Chief has checked with
Other,
our
other
solicitors?
townships.
His other community.
We'll check with him again.
Yeah, because I think, if there are other communities that have come up with the magic solution. If not, we just have to,
Well, has anybody talked to this little lady?
Well, that's what I'm
About
saying,
feeding
either
them?
the woman or even more so, the people that are doing a nice thing, helping her, may not be aware that it's an issue. And
have you talked with any of them, Darlene?
No, I don't
We
know.
want to get involved in that.
Huh?
We want to get involved in that.
I just wonder who this woman is.
So
No.
I've done some quick research here.
Okay.
And I mean, without question, there's two different approaches. There's trap and neuter return, which is what we're hearing about. And then there's trap and kill. Generally, what this article seems to be suggesting is that trap and neuter is ineffective for the reasons that we've discussed. In addition to the fact that it is no deterrent on the destruction to the natural ecosystem. So a cat that's been neutered and returned still has problems hunting birds and causing disruption to the natural ecosystem. And it doesn't really have any deterrent on the spread of cat scratch fever and other diseases that the animals have. So they're saying here, many groups seem to support trap and kill, including PETA and a whole ton.
PETA? PETA?
What's Peter?
People for the Ethical Treatment of
Oh,
Animals.
that's the animal rights group.
And euthanasia is also reluctantly supported by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, which cites the miserable lives of feral cats as justification for the practice. And maybe PETA is worth reaching out
Contact
to.
me.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Trap, neuter, and release is rarely a success and thus supports humane euthanasia as the lesser of two evils. Then they go into the question that somebody's raising here, holding colony managers responsible for feral cats, which is basically the suggestion of trying to come up with ordinances that make it illegal to not only keep animals in your house, but harboring or giving food to wild animals. I think that would require Harlan. But I think we have three options at this point. We can just do nothing and say that it's too big of an obstacle to get around. We can try to have Harlan investigate a legal recourse, but I think that you've got to be realistic that the legal recourse is going to be difficult to enforce. Then you're going to have to be prepared to go out and find this old lady for keeping these cats. And the other option is some sort of a trapping and killing system.
And none of the agencies we contacted suggested to trap and kill?
I have Kim's notes. I don't believe so, but I'll check with her.
And that's probably more a private contractor.
Yeah, I would think so.
Shall we look into that?
I'm a little reluctant, but I think calling
Basic
PETA,
information.
I would call them. I mean, if they're supporting trap and kill, that's shocking.
Why don't you call Pete, see what they think?
Sure.
And we've called Allegheny County? Has somebody called Allegheny County?
I'll have to check with Kim. She knows.
I would think that Allegheny County would be a good place to start. Have we talked to John at the COG?
No, I'm going to the COG, my COG meeting is on Wednesday, so I'm
Okay.
gonna bring it up, because I know that Avalon had an issue, and I remember them talking about it, and the answer was, we'll never win this. But I'll check again.
I mean, this is the whole point of the COG, right, is to share this.
That's why I
So-
go, yeah.
Is this the same cog that you go to?
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
Different people.
it's the same COG in theory. It seems like it operates in two different worlds.
I think so.
That's a different issue.
Oh, get going.
sounds good. Okay. Well, we'll take those steps.
Okay.
Unfinished business.
I just have a few things to mention from some of it's from meetings that I missed. I know there was a question about which policies were completed and which ones need to be completed. The 4 that were completed are whistleblower, anti-fraud, travel, and cell phone. Still needed are financial management and credit card. We reviewed, George and I met and reviewed the audit, and we had a few questions from Mark Turnley, but he's gonna be getting back to us at the end of the week, so it should hopefully, there weren't any drastic questions, it was just give us a little more clarification questions, so that should be on the agenda for acceptance next week also. And there is an executive session next week at 6 o'clock before the regular meeting.
6:15? All right, 6.
6 o'clock, and to discuss what that is, if you want to discuss it, we can go into executive session, but otherwise I'll just give you an update.
We talked about that.
So just put it in your minds at 6, and then so that we can be finished, and then the regular meeting can start at 7.
Okay.
I have some old business. Are we finished with Quinn's?
Yeah, I was, I have one other thing.
Good.
Well, it's mainly a question for Hala, the disposition of Habala Road. Tom asked again because there still wasn't quite a clear answer, so that's something that we can either talk about next week.
Let's talk about it with Harlan.
Okay.
I ran into Judy Haluka Saturday, who was quite annoyed that we have not done our training for emergency management. And I think rightly so, and I'm just as much to blame for this as everybody else. But the bottom line is that we need to do this training. And she's tried to organize a meeting for us where we were all going to be in one place, and it didn't come together. So I suggest that we pick that ball up by ourselves. She's not going to organize that meeting anymore, but we need to get it done. So my suggestion to the 5 of us would be that we bring our calendars next week. And next week we look for a date where we can all get together and get this done. Because she's,
What happened with the calendar thing?
we did that.
I mean, if I responded and gave dates,
I don't think everybody did, and
okay.
it was,
Whatever.
yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I was out of town, but I didn't tell you I was gonna be.
Gwen, was it your understanding that not all of us have to do that?
Yes, I think at first we thought that everyone did, and now it might be that a majority have to, but
She told me on Saturday that all 5 had to be here for part of it, and there was part of it that a majority had to be here for.
Okay, then,
So, but she said that to be in compliance, all 5 of us need to do something.
Okay.
There's one part that all 5 of us need to do.
okay,
And she told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but she told me, she said, I've sent you everything you need to do. And I said, Judy, I know you have. I know you have. I don't have it immediately accessible. So
I asked
if
her
we
to
were
send
going to do,
instructions
if we were
in.
going to do this tonight, I wouldn't know how to tell the commissioners what to do. And she said, Gwen knows exactly what to do. So, but let's start with a date. Let's take it upon ourselves. Let's take it upon ourselves to get a date, and then once we have a date, we can go back to Judy and say, we've done this, and you can either be here, or you can tell us what we need to do. So bring your calendars next week, please.
Sideline, what about inviting candidates? Inviting candidates even prior to the election.
To the emergency management?
Yeah,
You could
We
come.
only have one.
there's only one.
There's only one. I think that would be good.
I don't think it hurts anything. I don't think it gets us our compliance.
No,
No,
it's
but
just,
at least you
Yeah.
would
at least he'd
know.
be informed.
Sure.
Okay. We'll get up a date and see if you can make it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else, new or old business? Citizen participation.
I think we did.
Y'all had a crack at it? Okay. Thank you. We appreciate your input.
Matt, did she give you an idea of how many hours we
No.
should put on our calendar?
No. Do you have any idea about that?
I think if she's here, it's pretty quick.
Well, she indicated there was a test. We have to watch a video and there's a test.
We don't have, laptops, so if it's a situation where everyone's supposed to be working on their own laptops, we
I
have
don't know.
that one and one other one that's still in a box back there that is for the emergency management thing. So that's, I don't know how that factors into what it is we're supposed to be doing. When I took them, I went to a class where we paper tested.
Each participant would have a laptop in front of them, or how's
I
it?
don't know. I don't know how this is working.
I don't either, but again, I think we start with getting a date.
Sure.
So let's get a date, and then from there, I can bring a couple laptops if I need to.
I have one or two.
Yeah, I think we can hustle together equipment.
Okay, anything else? Open for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Talked about them, right?
So just put it in your minds at 6 and then so that it can be finished and then the regular meeting can start at 7.
Okay.
I have some old business. Are we finished with Quinn's?
Yeah, I have one other thing.
Good.
Well, it's mainly a question for Hala, the disposition of Habala Road. Tom asked again because there still wasn't quite a clear answer, so that's something that we can either talk about next week or.
Let's talk about it with Harlan.
Okay.
I ran into Judy Haluka Saturday, who was quite annoyed that we have not done our training for emergency management. And I think rightly so, and I'm just as much to blame for this as everybody else. But the bottom line is that we need to do this training. And she's tried to organize a meeting for us where we were all going to be in one place and it didn't come together. So I suggest that we pick that ball up by ourselves. She's not going to organize that meeting anymore, but we need to get it done. So my suggestion to the 5 of us would be that we bring our calendars next week. And next week we look for a date where we can all get together and get this done. Because she's,
What happened with the calendar thing?
we did that.
I mean, I responded and gave dates.
I don't think everybody did, and
Okay.
it was, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I was out of town, but I didn't tell you I was gonna be.
Gwen, was it your understanding that not all of us have to do that?
Yes, I think at first we thought that everyone did, and now it might be that a majority have to, but
She told me on Saturday that all 5 had to be here for part of it, and there was part of it that a majority had to be here for.
Okay, then,
So, but she said that to be in compliance, all 5 of us need to do something.
Okay.
There's one part that all 5 of us need to do.
Okay,
And she told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but she told me, she said, I've sent you everything you need to do. And I said, Judy, I know you have. I know you have. I don't have it immediately accessible. So
I asked
if
her
we were
send
going to do,
instructions
if we were
and-
going to do this tonight, I wouldn't know how to tell the commissioners what to do. And she said, Gwen knows exactly what to do. So, but let's start with a date. Let's take it upon ourselves. Let's take it upon ourselves to get a date, and then once we have a date, we can go back to Judy and say, we've done this, and you can either be here, or you can tell us what we need to do. So bring your calendars next week, please.
Sideline, what about inviting candidates? Inviting candidates even prior to the election.
To the emergency management?
Yeah,
You could
We
come.
only have one.
there's only one.
There's only one. I think that would be good.
I don't think it hurts anything. I don't think it gets us our compliance.
No.
No,
Just-
but at least you
Yeah,
would
At least he'd
know.
be informed.
Sure.
Okay. We'll get up a date and see if you can make it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else, new or old business? Citizen participation.
I think we did.
Y'all had a crack at it? Okay. Thank you. We appreciate your input.
Matt, did she give you an idea of how many hours we
No.
should put on our calendar?
No. Do you have any idea about that?
I think if she's here, it's pretty quick.
Well, she indicated there was a test. We have to watch a video and there's a test.
We don't have, laptops, so if it's a situation where everyone's supposed to be working on their own laptops, we have that one and one other one that's still in a box back there that is for the emergency management. So that's, I don't know how that factors into what it is we're supposed to do. When I took him, I went to a class where we gave tests.
Each participant would have a laptop in front of them, or how's it?
I don't know. I don't know how this is working.
I don't either, but again, I think we start with getting a date.
Sure.
So let's get a date, and then from there, I can bring a couple laptops if I need them.
I have one or two.
Yeah, I think we can hustle together equipment.
Okay, anything else? Open for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.